welcome to In the Back Pocket. We are creeping closer and closer week by week to the finals, what is set up to be one of the better final series we have seen in a long time, because we're finally, Browny, at the back end of the season.
We are.
Which
We've been there a while.
For me, is the final 2 rounds of the year. But let's crack right into it, because we have an accountability bet each week. Our best bet of the weekend. What is it for you?
I like Dylan Moore against the Magpies. I was tossing up between Dylan Moore and also Keziah Pickett.
You weren't just tossing it up. You're asking the entire office who you should pick, including ChatGPT.
It's called research, and I asked Hoyney as well. Dylan Moore goes into the middle, so 22 plus disposals. I like to get him around the $2 market. He's 23 to go over the 2, but at $1.81, I'm happy with the 22.
Good community effort to get that one over the line.
Yeah, I'm going with Tex Walker. I think the big Texan is off the rest last week, didn't fly to Perth. They got back, they got the win, and I think he kicks 2+ against a little bit of an undermanned Collingwood defensive unit. Obviously, no Jeremy Howe. Still, you made a good point. They like to feed the players that lead up against Collingwood, because Collingwood like to defend
handle that.
back shoulder. So I like him for $1.82. Like you, I like to sort of
fresh Tex.
Go around the $2 line, but $1.82 will do me for Tex.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Giants in GWS. We know it's going to be a high disposal game. I have to do a little bit of value hunting. I need to do a little bit of value hunting now for the punter at home. Tuke Miller at that 25-26 disposal line is really tempting. To stick into your same game multi, I need to do.
But if you're chasing cash,
I need to fatten up my pig a little bit. He had 37 last time out against them. It is going to be a high disposal game at no tag, so that price for 30 for Tuke, happy with it.
Reeks of desperation, Zach.
Oh, you would know the smell of that.
Well, I do, because have a look at my one. Now, if I told you someone had kicked 6 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, 3 goals, what price do you think they would be for 3 this week?
$4.20?
$4.20, yeah.
I should have knew that was coming up on the screen before, but $4.20. Patrick Voss, I think Freo are absolutely rolling at the moment. It does worry me that Brisbane are pretty good against.
Imagine having him on your list and winning a best and fairest in the VFL and then giving him up. You didn't think he was any good.
Well, we're going to touch on
him a game as well. Didn't get a game for Essendon.
We're going to touch on that team now. If you're wondering why Zach's gone outside, I probably didn't need to do that, but it's because $92. And Kate, you are surging towards the lead in this one. So it's
had a few rough weeks to start, but we've had some nice.
You bounced back.
Last few. Yeah.
You bounced back. Very interesting. Follow everyone on the feed for more of those bets, or just ask anyone Brownie's been around. I'm sure they would have helped out with those ones as well. Essendon versus St Kilda in this one. Brownie, you reckon it's going to be a high disposal game?
I think it is going to be a high disposal game. So you've got Nazai Wanganeen-Miller, whose price is gone. There's no value in there. But what I like is Ohh Aah, Andy McGrath. So Zach Merritt doesn't play in this game. It was going to be his 250th. But here is the centre bounce attendances last week. So McGrath for the last 3 weeks has been in there, and I expect with Zach Merritt not in there, he'll go in there again. Isaac Kaka had 20, only 11 disposals, but McGrath has been above 20 disposals these last 3 weeks. He's a good value to do that again, so I'm going to take Ohh Aah again, Andy McGrath.
Most popular bet in this game with the sports bet punters as well is Andy McGrath.
To me.
They have been listening to you.
Ohh Aah.
Ohh Aah, Andy McGrath.
It's a bit better with Glenn McGrath when he comes off a long run.
Yeah, but you can say Bowling Shane on the other side of it
absolutely.
as well.
If you like play on words, though, your What's Hot and What's Not segment is coming up not too far, which I hope that you've done your homework on.
I noticed they put it on the socials last week, so it must have been okay.
It did, mate.
Every now and again I get a funny one in.
It's our version of mediocre. You own some fantastic segments in Australian television. This is becoming one of them. Let's have a look at the report card for this one. Should be a cracking game. Fremantle taking on Brisbane. Brownie, where do you sit?
It's an A. When you've got players who get the footy as much as these two sides in the midfield and at half back, I like this game. It's a very, very good punting game.
I love it as well. It's an A for me, and I'm calling it Enron. Do we know what Enron is and the story behind it?
No.
Okay, well, let me enlighten you on this one. Enron, it was fraud. It was a scam company. It was trading at $90 a share at one point, such as Brisbane, not that long ago. In a matter of months, found out it was a fraud. It plummeted to trading at $1. That right now is where Brisbane sit.
Did someone say before we started this show that I'd love to do a fraud?
I may or may not have said that. But legally, I don't want that footage out there, and it's beside the point. Zach, where do you sit with Brisbane?
I don't think there's major concerns just yet. We had a chat before we got on air. Hoyney is bullish on their ability to compete against the best teams in the competition, which is pretty much exclusively who they're going to play from this point on. And look, a little form dip the year after you win a premiership is par for the course. It certainly happened to us in 2023. Brownie, I'm not sure how you guys played the year after you won a premiership, but it does happen quite a lot. And they're only going to play the cream of the competition, which is who they like playing. They actually struggle against the weaker side. So nobody's taken this season by the scruff of the neck just yet. They're very much alive.
Are you taking Hoyney's IP there? Are you just...
I actually credited him with it, though. I did credit him with it.
Good side. Do we share the same concern for Brisbane at the moment?
I just can't get a read on them. I cannot get a read. So you can't trust them at the moment. They could quite easily miss the 8. They've got 2 games and they play against 2 very good opposition. If they lose both of them, they're a chance to miss the 8.
Yeah, they're big on the bounce back factor though. So there has been games this year. We saw what they did to Collingwood the week after they got absolutely smashed by the Gold Coast Suns, which we've seen a lot of teams do. So they're going to have to be consistent clearly from this point out. I expect them to go to Fremantle and get the win over there. The concern then, what do they do the week after against Hawthorn in another must win? But they do know how to win big games, which is something that you can sort of hang your hat on from their form. Compared to Fremantle, it's still a little bit up in the air.
Yeah, they're quite inconsistent, but this is the case for pretty much everyone in the top 8 at the minute. And when I look at the top 8 or top 9 teams, I still just think there's a bit of a gap between them and, say, the bottom 3 or 4 in that top 8 or top 9. So I'd be amazed if they don't make it from here.
$9 to drop out of the top 8. Unlikely, and I think the price reflects that. Now, I've taken Patrick Voss for goals, and you know a lot more about footy than me, and you've gone elsewhere, which is worrying.
I've gone elsewhere, but that doesn't mean that I don't think Patrick Voss could kick 3 as well, because Brisbane have had a serious weakness in their defence. Yes, ranked 18th against general forwards. The reason they're probably ranked a little bit higher against key forwards is because of Harris Andrews. He does a job on that key forward, and then the rest sort of start to get off the chain. So Patrick Voss is a chance because Josh Tracy will get Harris Andrews, but the player I like is Michael Frederick. So his last 3 of his last 5, he's kicked 2+. His last 3 games against Brisbane, he's kicked 2+ in those. So he'd be the forward I'm looking at. That's not to say, though, that Patrick Voss can't hit the scoreboard.
And do you know why they call him Fast Freddy?
Because he's fast.
Absolutely, and his name's Freddie.
Yeah,
Jeez, well,
very inventive.
Fast Freddy's a nice little play on words, but your segment's coming up right now. What's hot and what's not? You're on a roll. Take it away.
All right, let's get into it. Let's put it up on the board because the first one up there is Aaron Adnortson. And then you've got
what?
Aaron Adnortson to your bank count.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jack making dosh. Jordan Awesome. $73, 5 of 5. And Bailey Rich, 8 of 9 at 2+. And then that means there's people who aren't getting the job done. And that is, let's give Jack a McSpray. Eric No Good. Andrew, I can't withdraw. And Christian.
Oh, don't go with it.
Paslaka.
Oh, you're going to finish it with the worst one of all.
Yeah.
You had another one.
Petrarca was a hard one.
Well, you did have one.
I went with a swear word, which wasn't going to fly on this program, but it lived, Christian.
Okay, let's have a look at our best bets. Friday best bets, where are we?
Caleb Sarong, 31+ against Brisbane. Brisbane don't tag, so I'm pretty keen on Caleb.
Yeah, I like Cooper Sharman, 3+. Hit some form in the forward line last week, and they're playing Essendon, who don't have a whole heap of key defenders, so I think he kicks 3.
Andy McGrath, 22 disposals. We just spoke about him getting more midfield exposure. He's almost the go-to guy at the minute with the injuries they have.
So he's taking Hoyney stuff and my stuff.
Where'd you get that info, Browny? Was it the traders?
I'm going with Patrick Voss 3 here as well. You're Frederick. I think we agree there are going to be goals on offer for Freo. Let's chat Freo for a second here because they're on an absolute roll, but we still just don't see them brought up in that real proper premiership discussion yet. Do we think they're going to be able to get to that level? Probably they don't need to win over the next 2 weeks, but the next 2 weeks are going to be telling.
Well, the last couple of months they've left themselves a heap of work to do at 3/4 time. Yes, they've been able to overcome all of their opponents in that time, except for Sydney Swans, couldn't run them down. But I think if you're constantly giving up leads at 3/4 time, the juice that you're using to get over the top of teams, you can't continue to do that in finals. I still think when they play their best football across all 3 lines, they have weapons, which is what you need in big games. But a little bit concerned for the lead that they're giving teams because you can't do that against the best teams.
They haven't played complete games, have they? They haven't dominated the side from the very first minute to the last minute and had a solid 50 to 60 point win, and you go, gee, they are ready to take this competition by storm, but they leave themselves a fair bit to do.
Yeah, like the top 4 price for them has shortened significantly, and it's shortened for a reason. They're 330, I think, to finish top 4. Their best is very good, but you look at the whole body of work, and I'm with you, I'm not sure they've been consistent enough across the whole season to say with any confidence they can make a big run in September.
Momentum's a hell of a thing. Can you see them sneaking into the top 4?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, I think they can. They play the Bulldogs next week. If they win this week, beat the Bulldogs next week, well, then they're probably in top 4.
Could quite comfortably lose the next 2, so I can't put them in the top 4.
Nice. Well, you can check out all those bets on the feed, and we'll see you right after the footy. Big Saturday of footy coming up, and we get it off with a cracking matchup. The Suns taking on GWS, 24 and sunny. Hopefully a tease of what's to come in Melbourne at some point, eventually, when the weather gets good here. But this weekend, it's in Gold Coast. It's going to be a high possession game.
Yeah, good game of footy this, and it will be a high possession game. And when Gold Coast started the season as well as they did, I think we all thought that finals was potentially on the cards. I think there was a big patch in the middle where I was less confident. They're gunning now for a top 4 finish. So this is a big game, and I think they'll get the job done. And being a high disposal game, for me, you got to look at the Gold Coast midfield. I think Noah Anderson, he's going to feature high in the Brownlow. He is having a stellar season. I think he's a bona fide A-grade player. I think he has been for a long time. I think if he was based here in Melbourne, we'd be talking about much different sort of terms. But I've got him for 30 disposals in my same team multi. Tuke Miller, 25. Again, had 37 last time out against the Giants. I think he'll find it again. Maybe the best clearance player in the game. Matt Rowell, 10 plus clearances. That's my same team multi for this
I like disposals in this because last time, that was round 15, so the highlights you just saw there. Anderson had 42 that game. I think Tuke Miller had 37. There were 6 players who had 30 or more. Finn Callahan himself had 28. So expect it to be high disposal again. There won't be any tagging. So I would be loading up on the midfields of both sides in this one.
What about the Suns? What is their success level in finals, and where do you think that they'll get to? What would they deem a success? They're going to have a red-hot crack at it next year as well with this list. What's successful, and where do you think they'll get to?
I think success is winning a final. I think they've got to go past the fact we've just made finals for the first time. I think they need to win a final, and they're giving themselves every opportunity. Whether they get the home final or not, I don't care how good a side is. I don't want to go to Gold Coast and play against them in a final up there because I think they win. I think they just about beat anybody up there, but away from home, I can't see them winning.
You can guarantee Damien Hardwick is not the type of coach that is happy with making finals.
Yep.
He is absolutely not happy. Yes, they've made their first final series and that's great. He will not be content with that. He's not there to make up the numbers. They will be prepped. You can see their games on the road have been improved this year. I think if they finish top 4, they are going to be a genuine force in finals. If they're outside that, you'd hope that they're 5th or 6th so that they can get a home final at People's First Stadium.
I'm off the Giants too. I don't think they can win it. I'm done with them.
Just a little drive-by for the Giants.
They're too inconsistent for me.
Yep.
Done.
What about Carlton taking on Port Adelaide? You spoke about a tagger on Monday. You keen?
Yes, and Brownie's brought this one to my attention, and we saw it 2 weeks ago. Cooper Lord, he went to Caleb Sarong, kept him to 19 disposals, but the thing that impressed me the most, he had 22 himself and 8 tackles. Then you go to last week, Noah Anderson, the most dangerous player for the Gold Coast Suns. He keeps him to 19 disposals. He has 24 himself and a career-high 12 tackles. Often you see taggers that can't get the footy themselves, but they still shut down the opposition player, which is still sort of worth their weight in gold. But if we look at what are we calling it? The Lord of the tag. Okay, so
These are getting out of control. These are getting out of control.
What we're going to go with
You know I'm a man of the Lord.
Yeah, well, you are. I am obviously a woman of the Lord too. We've got unders for Zach Butters. He's the player he goes to. I like him for under that disposal line, 25.5. I like Cooper Lord to get 21 plus himself and lay 8 plus tackles. $4.75 for something that he's done probably the last 2 weeks pretty easily in a new role. I think they maintain it, and I think he's good for those.
I like it. Hawthorn and Melbourne. Brownie, where are you going?
Hawthorn and Melbourne, so this should be a high disposal game as well. So I'm going to go with Cozzy Pickett because I've been with him the last 7 weeks. He's been averaging over 23 disposals. Hasn't been kicking as many goals, but he got more centre bounce attendances than any other player at Melbourne. And add him to Dylan Moore. They play a similar sort of role. They're both midfielders pretty much, and they've both been getting good disposals. The only time Dylan Moore in the last month has missed 20 disposals was when he got tagged a few weeks ago. Outside that, I'm going to back Cozzy Pickett. I'm going to back Dylan Moore.
I like it. Plenty of value to go around. Collingwood and Adelaide, one of the games of the round, if not the game of the round. Let's have a look at the report card.
Report card is a very good game to punt on. It is an A. So obviously the Dacos brothers, you back them in, and then you've got Adelaide. You've got Jordan Awesome, who'll be playing some pretty good football as well, and you've got the 3-headed monster up forward, Isaac Rankin. So many players to back.
Panic stations for me, it is an A for watchability in this one, but if Collingwood drop this game, you'd have to officially, now you can never properly do it, but you'd put a line through at the moment, but if they win, quite the opposite. They're back. There is no such thing as a must-win game, but boy, are we getting close.
You have to officially, but you can't do it properly, put a line through.
You can't properly. If they lose to Melbourne, if they lose this, then lose to Melbourne, then we're talking must-win in this one, but where's the value at?
I think we're looking at Tex Walker here. We know how good the Adelaide forward line has been. This man in particular, though, has been in some great form. Tex Walker, his last 6, yes, he had the week off to go to the West and freshen up, but him against Hawthorn, this was a game where everything was on the line for Adelaide. He loves playing at the Adelaide Oval. In his last 6 games that he's played, he's kicked 2+ in all of them. In the last 2, he's kicked 3+. I think he is the one that is going to take this game by the scruff of its neck, kick a few against Collingwood because we know they're undermanned down back. I like him for 2+ or 3+ goals in this game.
He's such an interesting one for Tex for me because, they've got a loaded forward line. They don't necessarily need him as such, but he seems to be a bit of an emotional barometer for them as well. You see him there, just a double fist to the crowd. He's one of their guys where if he's going very tough to stop.
I think he's a good leader. I think people follow him in the fact that he's a huge man and he fills a hole in the ground that people have to go him. So he has to be not the number one banana at the moment, but he is definitely after Thilthorpe, the one they have to go to. So he takes a good player, which allows other players in the Adelaide forward line to function really well.
If they win the premiership this year, do you think he pulls a Joe Danaher and retires and goes on his merry way, or do we see him back for another year?
Well, there hasn't been a whole lot of talk around what he is doing next year, and I think it's for that reason. I think it's seeing how the rest of this season plays out and go from there. I think if you had the opportunity to go back to your own career, I would love to retire as a premiership player on that big stage when you're getting towards the end of your career. If he doesn't quite get that, I think he has another year left in him.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't be the first player, would he, to make this kind of decision? So you mentioned Joe Danaher. I know Joel did it for us in 2022. The criticism for Joel over his career, amazingly, if there was any, was that he didn't captain a premiership. It is such a perfect way to go out at the absolute pinnacle. When you look where Adelaide have been, made a grand final, they've been pretty much in the wilderness since then. To then explode back into finals and win it would be a perfect way to go out.
I think for him, he was there on that day when everything went wrong for the Crows and then had to rebuild through it. That would be momentous for him to be able to go out as a premiership player.
He could follow your lead. Very few players have been cheered off after a grand final win, but you.
Popular figure.
Straight out of there, Irish flag on the back. What's your best bet?
Bring out a book.
That's a good read.
My best bet, Kosei Pickett. I think he just gets a fair bit of the ball against Hawthorn through the middle, centre bounce attendances.
Mine is Lockie Whitfield, 30+.
Tuke Miller, 25 for all the reasons we've said.
I am going with Taylor Walker here. We've been speaking about him. He's on a roll at the moment. I'm going 2+. He's the emotional barometer for this team, and I think he'll step up for a big game as well. Set to be a cracker. You can follow everyone here on the feed. And as well, you know he's coming in soon? Have you seen him hanging around outside the door?
Hoyney.
It's Daniel Hoyne. Hoyney. Here we go. It's time to welcome in Daniel Hoyne from Champion Data. Now, Hoyney, you've always been big on the Crows. They are the team to beat at the moment. But we need to ask you, what on earth did Fogarty get up to during gather round?
Well, he's clearly enjoyed himself over in Adelaide, like a lot of us did, to be fair. but what he's actually done since gather round is he's been absolutely nowhere to be seen, to be honest. So
Lost for words.
You were trying to be really nice there.
I was going to drop a however, but it's a bit too early in the show to drop a however yet. But what he was doing up until gather round, top 50 player in the competition. And then what he's done since, which is now, almost a 4-month sample size, as you can see there, outside of the top 250 players in the comp. And in that 17-game period, he's only kicked 3+ goals 3 times in that 17-game period, as you can see there with his form. So he's just not getting near it and actually not getting the opportunities in front of goal in this time. And as you said, Felix, with what Adelaide are doing at the moment, sitting on top of the ladder, we all think that they're probably going to finish the home and away season on top of the ladder. Riley Thilthorpe is absolutely flying at the moment, 3rd best player in the competition across the season. We saw what he did against West Coast as well. But I just wonder whether or not, if he gets shut down and Walker wasn't there, and if he gets shut down in a final, with what this guy is doing or lack of input, will that actually hurt them in a final series? So can he actually get going and improve this profile to a whole nother level, which is already at levels as the best in the competition? But I just wonder how far they can go without him actually firing a shot at the moment.
So there was a lot of talk, even on this show early in the year, about playing 3 tolls and whether or not that would stack up over the course of a year and into finals. As a team, they're obviously going extremely well. Is it too late to rectify that and maybe look at the 2-tall forward line, or do they just have to persist with it and hope he fires a shot?
No, I think you're sticking with it now. It's around 23. You're on top of the ladder. Everything's working okay. I'm just more looking at little margins for improvement for Adelaide. That's one I think they can go after. And if they don't, given that Thilthorpe is in such good form at the moment, Rankin's coming there, things are still okay. But I just wonder...
Is it a matter of they don't need him to be playing the way that he was pre-gather round because the other two have actually upped their output or they've worked out a structure within their system that, yes, you want him to be playing in that form that he was, but the other two and the other forward line, it's still functioning really well with him playing like that. So is it a fact that he's actually not the option that they're using, but it's still Thorpe or Walker and they're still hitting the scoreboard, they're still winning games. So is it that big of a concern?
Yeah, and it's a really good point to make because it's sort of looking at this Saturday night as well for Darcy. No Jeremy Howe there. It's a great opportunity, you would have thought, to potentially fill up your boots and get that confidence before finals. They might not need it, but if they do, look out.
I do like Tex this week, though. Tex, with the week off, he's fresh. And Collingwood haven't handled players who lead up at the footy. Obviously, Phil Thorpe leads up at the football fine. But I just think Tex this week, leading up at the football, fresh. I like him for 2. I like him for 3. Over your man, Fogarty.
Yeah, I can assure you, he ain't my man.
Incredibly. Whatever happened at Gallagher clearly had you involved with it as well because you're coming for him. Then we worked it out. You mentioned the Pies there, the team they come up against this week. What is going on right now? Because from the outside looking in, it appears like the Pies' sort of premiership hopes are crumbling before our eyes.
Yeah, they do, and they have issues in all 3/3 of the ground, which is alarming to say the least.
What's the 1/3 that they?
Well, I just want to go to the forward. I just want to go to the forward 50, and we'll start with that. So, what Jamie Elliott did for the first 4 months of the season, he was probably on track to be in the All-Australian squad, if not the All-Australian team. And over the last 5 weeks, he's only kicked 7 goals in that 5-week period. So he's gone from being a top 20 player in the competition, All-Australian lock in that time, to sitting outside the top 300 there. And then, when I just want to have a bit of a deeper dive on what's actually gone on, with his form over the last 5 weeks. And not much has actually sort of changed with what he's actually done. The disposals has gone from 12.5 to about 10 or 11, and the shots at goal is really interesting there. He's still generating the exact same amount of shots as what he was, and the degree of difficulty from his shots hasn't changed at all. It's just the accuracy component, which has absolutely shifted. So if he had have actually kicked to expectation over the last 5 weeks, he's still a top 15 goal kicker in the competition over this time. So I think if you're looking at him going, 7 goals in 5 games, he's totally out of form. Don't sort of be a little bit misled. Michael Annie's not there this weekend as well, so it's an opportunity. He's still generating shots. His accuracy history over his career is strong, so potentially there is something just around the corner for him.
So he's not Billy Elliott anymore, he's Missy Elliott.
Yeah. Love it. You were sitting on that one.
He needs to back it up, flip it, and reverse it to get back in. That's what he needs to do.
Good question with that notice. Now, it's clear that players, don't kick the same sort of bags of goals that they used to back in the old days with some of these forwards. Has the accuracy seen a significant drop-off as well, or is it just a difference in the games, how the game's played?
No, accuracy hasn't changed at all. It's always floated around about that 48, 49% for the last 10, 15 years. So we get asked that question a lot, and the answer is just pretty much just flat lines.
Are you giving the Pies a chance to bounce back against the Crows this week?
Yes, because they've got history of doing this. They've got history of getting on the road.
We know how you feel about history.
But the Adelaide profile that was spoken about all 2025 season, I'll back that.
Incredibly convincing stuff. Geelong, we've spoken about a couple of chances now. Where are you sitting with the Cats at this end of the year?
Yeah, so we talked about on Monday, profile-wise, at the moment, they are the only team in the competition that has all 4 key areas ticked off, and they will have that likely ticked off heading into the home and away season. But there is only one area and only one area in their game which is vulnerable, and that's their ability to defend transition against the best teams in the competition. Everything else in their game is completely rock solid. And this audit on Sunday is the perfect timing for Geelong to get it.
It's a big danger game, isn't it?
And I don't even know if it's a danger. I think it's just a really good game of footy, just with how Sydney are coming along. And their Sydney ball movement on Saturday last week against Brisbane, totally different. They threw it out, they went aggressive, they challenged, they went forward handball game. And with what Nick Blakey is doing, should be firmly in All-Australian conversation. This is a great timing for Geelong to get it. Because if we sit here on Sunday at 6 o'clock and you're looking at, and they have defended that aspect of the game well, they are potentially every right to be premiership favourite because everything else is rock solid. But if they don't, and if they get exposed again against a good team, you are who you are.
The odds of Sydney, $3.13 is huge for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't back the Cats at $1.37.
No.
I think the Cats should be more like $1.60, Sydney $2.40. I think it should be a lot closer in the market.
Yeah, the Grundy out is significant, but I'm totally with you. With what Blakey, Warner, Heaney and Goulden in particular are doing at the moment, they deserve to be a lot
And
closer.
how often have you been running the extra button undone to show off a bit of the chest? 'Cause that's a new look for you.
Yeah, took a bit of a punt today. Geez, I tell you what, you get audited very much so in the sports bet building with your fashion
God, that
sense.
shirt reminds me of something, but I just can't put my mind to what it is. But we'll be right back while we work that out. What movies? Here we go, Sunday footy, and it starts off with an absolute blockbuster, exactly what you want at this time of the year. North Melbourne taking on Richmond.
It's a game you really don't want to win, isn't it? Because you're looking at the draft picks at the end of the year and positioning, but North Melbourne are the favourites in this game. But the punters in this one, so the Sportsbet punters have identified the total points line under. They think this is going to be a low-scoring game. So it's been popular with 167.5. And you think about Richmond's last game against St Kilda, ridiculously low-scoring. So this one I expect to be low-scoring again. So too do the Sportsbet punters.
So are you keen to take this, or is this just maybe a matter of we see two bad teams and we think that they're not going to be able to put up a big score? Or because that's an awfully low number, 167.
I think that's around the market. I think that is quite high for what they've put out in the last few weeks. I'm going to take unders, and that's been one of the most popular bets for the Sportsbet punters in this game.
It has. Let's hope they get up. Where are you sitting?
I'm looking at tackles because there's not a whole lot of other things to look at that you can rely on in this game. But when these two teams played each other earlier in the year, they both had 92 tackles. It was a tackle fest. If we look at the averages for this season, North Melbourne averaged just under 60 and the Richmond Tigers averaged 52. So that was a huge increase to what we've seen across the season. The player I'm looking at, if you were taking tackles in this game, who would you look at?
Robbie Nahas.
One on the inside, Taranto maybe.
Yeah. Hopper?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at Nankervis, which might be a little bit off Broadway,
lost your mind,
considering
Kate.
his last 5 games he's had 3.5 tackles. So, but if you look at the last time he played Richmond, or his last 2 games against Richmond, 11 and 13. So the algorithm hasn't quite caught up with that kind of form. We're looking at 6+ or 8+ tackles. I like 8+ for Big Nank. I reckon Sherry takes it out of the ruck and Big Nank just loads onto him, lays 8 tackles, probably all on Tristan Sherry as well. You can't take that as a market, but you can take the 8+ themselves.
I'll tell you the best thing about taking a ruckman for tackles as well. You can see when they get one because it's a slow, cumbersome sort of operation.
And he hurts people for fun.
Yeah.
Toby Nankervis.
Let's jump onto the report card. Sydney taking on Geelong. Set to be a cracking game. Unfortunately, the Swans can't do too much damage in September, but they can hurt some
B+.
seasons.
It's a good one. It's a good one to punt on. A B+ game, this one. Sydney Geelong, plenty of players to punt on in this one.
Watchability, an A. And I am saying young tennis player in the Australian Open.
Cruz Hewitt.
Cruz Hewitt, yeah. But I'll tell you what happens with young players in the Australian
What
Open.
happens to young players in the Australian Open?
Their progression is so quick, and it happens. It's the first Grand Slam of the year. It happens when you can't see it. So they rock up, they play their final Grand Slam the year before. Okay, they're pretty good. Have a huge off-season. They come back in the Australian Open, and the market, they're a lot better than what they are. And right now, the Swans are a lot better than what they've done previously throughout the year.
Okay.
You're picking up what I'm putting down, Brownie.
It's a long bow.
Zach, what do you think?
It is going to be a good game, isn't it? And the discrepancy between these two sides isn't really reflected in the price or in the ladder position. So Sydney have some really well-documented issues throughout the season. Geelong do look like they're building into a really strong finals campaign and firming as one of the best teams in the competition. I do expect Geelong to get the win here. It is their last big test before finals. I think they'd be pretty upset if they don't get the win, but it will be a great game.
And I like Yannick Sinner for 25+ disposals as well.
I'm actually going to take the young tennis player in the Australian Open. I like the Swans 1 to 39, $3.60. I think there's a little bit more value. If they do win, it's going to, I would think, within that range. I don't think they're going to absolutely dominate Geelong. It'll be a close one. So $3.60, a bit more value if you do like the Swans.
All Australian Isaac Heaney, I'll ask you, do you think he'll make it? Yeah, slow start, like a lot of the Sydney players, but his second half of the year has been awesome.
Yeah, what Isaac Heaney does better than most mids in the competition is they can all hurt you in goals and disposals. He he can have 30 and kick 5, like very few players I've seen over, the last sort of 5 or 10 years. So his good games stand out so much. And if we're going to talk about somebody like the astronaut getting into the forward line, I think he has every right to claim a place.
He might have to deal with Osheen Mullen this week. He's been really good at taking the opposition's best play. Did a great job on Zach Butters, as we know. Zach Merritt got a little bit on him, but I think Isaac Heaney is the sort of player, if he goes to him in the midfield, and I think his disposal line will be under if he does get tagged. But the big thing about Isaac Heaney is he can go forward and to kick 2 goals, kick 3. To kick 3 this week, he's $5.10. Now, he's kicked 5 3 times, and I think 2 of those have been at the SCG. He's almost unstoppable when he plays forward. So Mullen won't be able to go with him in the air, and I think if he does get tagged, go the unders, and then you almost back him for 2 and 3 goals.
And how they played him last week is they actually played him in the forward line at centre bounces. So he stayed in the forward line and then he would roll up to stoppage and swap with James Rowbottom. Now that that's sort of been planted the seed, do they put Osheen Mullen to him if he stays forward at the centre bounce, or do they see if that flip's going to occur? So he might actually get a few goals directly out of centre bounce sitting in the forward line if Osheen Mullen has to take him one-on-one in a defensive situation. He's good around stoppage to stop those disposals. Can he defend one-on-one in against a really good half forward if the ball's coming out quickly of the centre bounce?
He's a wholesome-looking dude too, isn't he?
He's a fantastic
He should be on
guy.
the front of a Weet-Bix box.
I'll tell you what,
wholesome.
If this guy played in Victoria, we'd be talking Nick Dacos level stuff about him. I am confident of that. He's got the look, he's got the personality, he's marketable, he is an absolute superstar. Unfortunately for the game, it's a Victorian-based media, and you just don't see as much love for him.
He'd be going okay with his sponsorship deals, I reckon. I don't think he's missing out.
No.
He's a pretty laid-back guy. What about the Western Bulldogs? They are our favourite downhill skiers, and they get the steepest of slopes this week against the Eagles. But you want to zone in on Tom McCarthy?
Yes, I'd love to zone in on Tom McCarthy. Thanks, Felix.
Right.
He's had an incredible start to his career, this bloke. So this joint 7th most disposals ever for a player across their first 8 games. And a big part of the reason he's getting those disposals is because he's playing this kind of Nick Dacos-esque role. He's taking kick-ins, which we love here, in the back pocket. He's attending centre bounce. So last week he had 48% CBAs. So he's getting a chance to win it at the coalface. 29 disposals last week. Right now, his value in the disposal market is extremely tempting, and given the role he's playing, it's just somebody you have to look at from the West Coast point of view.
The big question is for him, will he remain in the number 45 next season? Or do you look at the 45 and go, not really keen on that, I'm going to go for a better number next year?
I'm big on the fact once you play 1 game in a jumper, you should stick with it. I personally, unless there's maybe some family...
42?
And I stuck with it, yeah. Unless there's maybe a family tie, I think Jack Silvani maybe took his dad's number. I can sort of get that. But I think once you play a game,
one thing's for sure is the contract number is going to go up a lot for Tom McCarthy, and rightly so.
That is
That's
the one
number
you're focused on. Okay, you've given us the appetizer. Time for the main meal.
Big Reggie's wonderful multi of wonder. Yes, Big Reggie's multi of wonder, everybody's favourite. So we did just speak about Tom McCarthy. So he is my first one. 25 disposals, playing that role he's playing. He is the only one I have any faith in from a West Coast point of view. And then you look over at the Doggies. Tim English, he's playing extraordinary footy at the minute. When you see West Coast playing, you got to look at the opposition ruckman. They tend to dine out on them. So I've got him for 19 disposals, and then Max Holmes. I expect him to cop a JJ tag this week. His disposal line of 27.5. I think Bear Jordan will keep him under that. So that is my multi this week.
How'd it go last week?
People seem to really enjoy it. And I'm about bringing happiness.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
Good energy.
Yeah, good energy. That's what I'm here for.
The fill-up of all fill-ups if you like goals. I'm a goal pig. Fill me with goals. And it is coming this week.
You're a pig at many things.
I'm a pig at
Goal
many
pig,
things, that's
step one
true.
to add to that.
Norton and Sam Darcy coming up against the Eagles. This could be a 6-6 or 7-7. I don't know. It could be something we've never even seen before, Nathan. Record breaking.
They've got really good form, both of them at Marvel. If you go back their last 5 weeks, it is really good reading, particularly at Marvel. I think they could both kick 5. Now, we're going to put the markets out later on in the week, but I like them both for 5. And that started at 6.25, both to kick 5, into 5.75 yesterday. Now it's into 4.75, both to kick 5.
And also, if you're just doing either, you can combine them now thanks to Sportsbet. These markets are going to be up soon. You can combine them for 8, 9, 10. It's a fantastic offering right there.
Yeah, well, we're at that point of the season where goal kicking becomes extremely important and accuracy becomes extremely important. It got me thinking about some of the great shanks we've seen over the journey, and I probably did a few myself. This one sprung to mind round one on the big stage. Big Robbie Warnock was a good player. Didn't catch that one flush. Believe it or not, it isn't even almost the worst shank I've ever seen. Have a look at this one for an absolute sideways hit. So this is our fearless. This is our fearless leader. I can't believe your athletic career didn't pan out, you big uncoordinated giant. So you nearly took the head off.
He killed someone.
Hey, for insurance reasons, I thought we were going to delete the footage because I almost took the head off the cameraman, and I think he's filed charges. But if
It's
you
almost harder to hit the ball there than it is forward.
It is. I did have to use short clubs because I was playing with Alex Volkanovski, the UFC champ. He gets preference with the short clubs. You want to see a whole lot more of that smack talk with Alex Volkanovski. He's going to be up on Sportsbet YouTube very, very soon. What's our multi?
You just dropped?
Best bets.
You and do your
Best bets. High Zach Heaney under.
Hi, Zach.
I'm going Ed Richards 8+ clearances. Clearances against West Coast are very easy to find.
Tom McCarthy, 24 disposals.
Oh, I love it. I'm going with Sydney head-to-head. They are a different beast than they were before, and it is criminal that they're not playing in September. Is there time for a wild card round? Find a way to put it in. The Swans should be in the finals. Enjoy.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.